Daniel Villaro says, worth buying an Alienware laptop or should I go with a desktop PC? So basically, my take on desktop versus laptops are um, if you can do both, do both. Um, that said, it's totally fine. Like laptops are very powerful these days, like to play like all the latest games on max settings pretty much, depending on what resolution you want to go with, you know? So it's kind of like, yes, a desktop is better bang for the buck without a doubt, but can you be happy with the laptop? I'd say absolutely. Um, Laptop performance is kind of mind-blowingly good these days, I think. All right, 1 second. So, what's the display's refresh rate? It's 120 hertz. 4K, 120 hertz, 500 nits, 100% Adobe RGB. Should be one of the best laptop displays money can buy. Okay, so before we continue, let's get the bottom taken off, right? I mean, just let me give you initial impressions first, okay? So here's the laptop, and this thing is sturdy. It's heavier, without a doubt. It's heavier than, say, my Scar 15. This weighs like 6.6 or something like that, 6.7 pounds. But it's very thin, very kind of. It's like kind of like a Zephyrus G15 thinness level, so it's thinner than my Scar 15, but it's a bit chunkier on the weight side. You can see we've got these big, long vents along each side, basically, on this side and on this side. And this has a quad fan design, meaning there's two fans here on each side. You're going to push the air out. We got fan intakes here, here, and here. And then, of course, right here and here. And then we have fan exhausts all along the side, on the back. Very, very interesting thermal design on this laptop. Let's take the bottom of the chassis off and see what's underneath on the inside here. What laptop do you think I should get for deep gaming, like esports competitive gaming? In general, if you're going to do esports competitive gaming, I think the most important thing is that you go with a Mux switch or Advanced Optimus. And you want to get either a Ryzen 5000 or an Intel 11th gen, or maybe 10th gen, but if you're looking for the most performance, it also depends on what your budget is too. Okay, 1 second. All right, Jeffrey J with the question. Hey, how do you feel about the companies that pre-order 3 months out on laptops like exotic PCs and explain now you can buy the increased price version now? I'm not sure. I'm not sure exactly what you're saying, but I think you're saying like maybe you ordered the I think what you're saying is that you ordered it at say like a $2,000 price, and then they raised the price by $200 or something, and then they are shipping out the $2,200 price items before they ship it out to the people who originally ordered it at $2,000. I think. Is that what you're saying, Jeffrey? It's hard to exactly understand what your the situation, but it sounds like a pretty ugly situation, and I think they should definitely honor the first orders in, first orders out kind of policy, in my opinion. I'm not sure exactly all the details around all of that, but thanks for the super chat and the support. Hey Gizmo, what's the best $1,200 laptop nowadays? Is AMD the best option for processor rather than Intel 11th gen? Thanks. Well, I think Intel 11th gen and AMD Ryzen 5000 series are both really good. I think that for gaming, they're going to be very competitive with each other, especially when you factor in the price of the laptops. I do think Intel 11th gen will likely perform better on average for more games. Okay, so let me reposition the camera so you can see this a little bit better. What did they cancel on you, Jeffrey? You have to take me step by step. What did you order? What changed? I can't follow. otherwise. But thanks again for the super chat. Only the full HD 360 hertz has the mux switch. No, I think it actually has advanced Optimus, which is even better than a mux switch. Okay. So it looks like we have some pop-out screws here. So the two screws in the middle come out. You can see right here we have screws coming out here. So these screws do not seem to be removable. Non-removable. And then these two corner ones are pop-up screws. You can see that they're popping the chassis up on each corner here. So both sides have pop-up screws. But man, Jeffrey, it sucks if you're going through order troubles, man. That sucks. I personally had problems ordering with Exotic when it was just delays on my side with them when I was dealing with them. That's it. With the chip shortage, it's just a tough situation all around because manufacturers are trying to get products to people, and retailers are trying to sell them, and they trying to get them in stock so they can sell them to all these eager customers, and then it's just really an annoying time to buy. That said, I think it's important that retailers still remain fair and deliver laptops on time, or at least as best they can. And certainly not canceling on order, canceling orders for no reason, or just to take advantage of the customer. Shayran, we'll see what the RAM is like on this machine. I got the higher end RAM, and this RAM should be faster than the RAM that was in, for example, on the MASH IT review of this laptop. But we'll see. Okay, so quick analysis of the bottom here, okay? We've got our, I think this was a 87 watt hour battery, so not quite the maximum battery size, but close to the maximum. Two very large speakers here, one on each side. And we have our quad fans, so 1, 2, 3, 4. Notice the back fans are a bit bigger, and the back fans have a double exhaust. So exhaust here, 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 and here. Also notice that we cannot see the heat pipes in this system. They are hidden because this is basically a partially inverted motherboard where the memory is accessible on the bottom, SSDs are accessible on the bottom. But if you, for example, wanted to repaste the CPU and GPU, you're going to have to flip the whole thing over. So Jeffrey J says that he got his order canceled because Asus discontinued production on the laptop. Man, I think the biggest issue there is, Jeffrey, is that Exotic PC should not be taking orders on laptops that they are not confident will be, shipped to them, I think. Okay, so we have our RAM here, and I also want to take out the RAM. So I'm going to go ahead and just try to take away this or unplug this battery. So there's the battery disconnected. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at the RAM. So you can see we do have double-sided RAM here. And this is 16 gigs 1RX8, PC4 3466. So this is rated at 3466. It's not just 3200 megahertz RAM that's being ran in XMP mode. Let's see if I can get the camera to focus onto the RAM module here. There it is. So if you can pause the stream, you should hopefully be able to see that clearly. But basically it's 8 data RAM though. So We'll have to see how it actually runs in game tests, but I'm anticipating some really good performance. Let's go ahead and put the bottom back on. So basically, out of the box, we have one SSD slot open, one occupied, and I will be moving, if I decide to keep this X17 as my main laptop, I'll be moving my two 8TB SSDs from my SCAR 15 over to this laptop. It didn't say what CL Talon Tech. I read everything off of it. Yeah, it doesn't say right on it. A01E34RCSV807S, 16 gigs, 1RXH PC4 3466. Those are all the serial numbers and stuff. So, okay. Jeffrey says, "Thanks for the support. You guys have a good night." Yeah, thanks for the support too, for the super chats, man. I appreciate it, and I hope you get a laptop you love, man. That sucks. For me, I get like emotionally invested in my order before I even get the laptop in, and then you get disappointed. It's kind of like, I would equate it to kind of the Christmas time, and you think you're going to get a gift, you get all excited about the present, you get all excited about the laptop coming in, and then it either disappoints or there's something wrong with it. It's like so sad. So I'm really hoping there's nothing wrong with this laptop because I'm kind of like that right now. I'm like literally like a little giddy, a little excited. Okay, so we should be all flush now, I believe. Let's go ahead and tighten everything down. I gotta say, this is very nice bottom panel removal experience. It's simple. There's not that many screws. The screws come in and out easily. There's pop-up screws on each side. The bottom was very easy to latch and unlatch, comparatively speaking, to most other laptops that I've recently reviewed. Crypto mining is going to crypto mining, with the GPUs not being used in crypto mining coming up, I think the GPU shortage is going to start coming back in line closer to normal. Like we're already starting to see a trend now where GPU prices are dropping. So hopefully that continues, and we won't have a component shortage anymore. Hopefully within so long, Like for example, the prices in I believe there was like a report I saw on Reddit that the price of GPUs in Germany were coming back down from the sky high prices. Interestingly enough, a little bit dirty over here on this bottom corner. It's probably from me, but it is interesting that it's already dirty. I don't know how it could have got dirty on this white table, but need a little spit shine to clean it, I guess. I hope it didn't come that way, but I'm kind of inclined to think this actually came this way. A bit of a mark right there in the finish. Interesting. I don't know how I could have done that, so do they sell the XMP RAM separately? I got 3200 because the other one wasn't available. I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. They very well likely may sell it separately. Okay, so let's go over the ports next. And we'll test the Flex. Flex is next. For sure though, you should be able to get RAM off of Newegg or somewhere eventually. If you can't get it now, I'm sure eventually you will definitely be able to buy that RAM that's 3466 laptop memory. It's just a matter of time and availability as an issue. But it may even be available right now. I haven't looked. So, okay, let's do a flex test. Coming along the side here. Okay, so flex in the middle, which is pretty normal. Right above the touchpad, there's almost always some flex here in every laptop I test. There's a little bit more flex here than I would love, but it's not bad. It's just the price of this laptop. You have a higher standard when it's a very, very expensive laptop. Basically, no flex at all on the left rest. I mean, basically no flex at all on the place you actually put your wrist, right? That's the main thing. Coming around the left here, no flex, a little bit of flex up here. There's actually, yeah, a little bit of flex there. No flex. Okay, coming through the keyboard. A bit of, whoa. I don't know if you can hear that. There's a bit of like a little popping sound when I push down in the middle pretty hard. It's like a little pop, pop, pop. But, I mean, as long as it doesn't happen normally, that won't be a problem. Okay. Oh, yeah. I like this keyboard a lot. Very tactile keyboard. You want to hear what it sounds like? Really like the feel of the keyboard at least. Oh, that is going to be great to type on. Okay. Gabriel says, Gizmo, I can't thank you enough. The Google Sheet you made has helped a lot deciding getting a laptop. At the end, I chose the M17 R4, already rocking on it. Cool, man. I'm glad the sheet was helpful. Okay. Let's see if we can get the machine to turn on. And there it is. Now, I got to say, right off the bat, that is a very bright backlight on the keyboard. Just as bright as on my Scar 15, if not a little brighter. I think that's actually a little brighter than my Scar 15 as far as just like the keycap brightness. Downside though, I'm noticing that the secondary functions are not lit up. So the @ symbol, the exclamation mark, the money symbol here, these are not lit up. The touchpad lighting up is a great feature. I love that. Give me RGB. I'm an RGB fanatic. Okay. Real-time clock error. CMOS checksum bad. Okay, so basically, probably the battery went completely dead, so we'll say continue. Can I just hit continue? Okay. That trackpad looking clean. Yeah. Original the creator. People on Reddit have been reporting 11.7K CPU TimeSpy score after connecting to an external display. Curious what you'll be getting. Yeah, I'm guessing with an external display, you'll be able to boost your CPU gaming performance noticeably. Hi there, I'm Cortana, and I'm here to help. Just mute Cortana. Scapo says, not gonna lie, that touchpad looks sick. Thanks for the super chat there, Scapo. Are you going to review the Zephyrus M16 in detail here soon? So never ever evil. It's just a matter of being really busy, and I've got to get around to reviewing everything. I've got so many laptops backed up, so I can't guarantee when I'm going to get it done. But I do want to for sure do a live performance test of the Zephyrus M16. That is in the works. So that will happen. It's just a matter of time. All right. Ooh, ooh, there we go. Is this the 4K 120 hertz? Yes, it is. Are those specs laptop or desktop parts? These are laptop parts. My X17 3080 4K was delivered today, but I'll be able to see it in 5 days. I'm a truck driver, sad face. Thanks for the live stream. OP graph. Dude, that's got to be killing you, man, knowing that you got the really powerful laptop back home, you can't access it. Oh, man. Am I going to review the Legion 5 2021? Nelshan Paija? I very well might, but it's currently not in the production pipeline at all. But if I can get, if I can get, if I can get Lenovo to send me, if I can get Lenovo to send me the Legion 5, I'll definitely check it out. I think my main issue with is just there's so many laptops I need to review, and I'm already like I feel like there's like 7 or 8 laptops I need to do live streams of, and then several laptops I need to do full reviews of that are just a higher priority than the Legion 5 right now. Okay, so we're gonna set up our face scanner. Clint, the cost of this one's about $3,800 approximately. Okay, I think I paid $3,650 or something like that, but I paid a little bit less than the current price. Okay, so it's recognizing my face. It's reading my face. Um, there it goes. Beautiful. So we are all set up now on. We're all set up now on Windows Hello. So Windows Hello, if you don't know what it is, it's a infrared scanner that will scan your face, kind of like uh, Face ID on an iPhone, but not quite as secure as that. Um, but it's more secure than just like face recognition with a webcam. So because of the infrared, but overall, I love Windows Hello just because it makes it so much more easy to log in. So, so I love the fact that this has Windows Hello. I really missed having Windows Hello on my Scar 15 because I was using the Razer Blade Pro 17 for a while that had Windows Hello, and then I switched over. I switched over to the Scar 15 and no more Windows Hello, and it was like logging in is just a little bit more annoying because now you actually have to type a password or a PIN. So I'm really looking forward to this. Gizmo, what are your thoughts on the 4K laptops? Do you think it's too much? So I think the ideal laptop display is more like a 1440p 165 or 1440p 240 hertz. I think those are the very best um, laptop displays at the moment. That said, 4K 120 hertz is still really, really, really good. And this is a 500 nits, 100% sRGB, or 100% Adobe RGB, supposedly. I'll have to actually measure it. But this is arguably, from a color, detail, refresh rate standpoint, one of the very, very best. But it's definitely not for super competitive gamers, because I think super competitive gamers would want like a 240 hertz display, most likely, instead. OP Graphs says, "It's killing me, man, but your live stream is helping relieve some of the pain." LOL. Marlon Rodriguez, Gizmo Slip Tech, does the 4K model have a Mux or Advanced Optimus? Is that a deal breaker if I'm looking for performance? So, if you're going to play heavily CPU bound games, um, you will have performance degradation for sure with this uh, laptop versus if it had a Mux switch or if it had the Advanced Optimus. Now, there is versions of this laptop that have Advanced Optimus. You can get that from Best Buy. You can also get it, I think, with the 3070 version of this machine and the 3060 version. Basically, the 360 hertz display version has the Advanced Optimus, so it'll switch on the fly. And that's it. I mean, if you're going to play esports type games on this machine, and you're going to go for the max refresh rate of 120 hertz, you should be able to hit that fairly easily, even at QHD resolution in the almost all esports games. So, oh guys, oh guys, oh, we forgot to plug in the battery, y'all. We forgot to plug the battery back in when we took off the bottom chassis, the bottom lid. Oh, well. Should I deal with that now or should I just deal with that after the stream? Let's just deal with that after the stream. We can still play games and do everything without the battery plugged in. No problemo. So, LOL though. That's a big LOL in my book. So I've got a 4 terabyte SSD now, or maybe there's a 2 terabyte SSD I think that I've loaded all of my games and drivers on. So now I can use this SSD as a way to load my games and run the games live straight from the SSD basically. Okay. Let's get this thing situated with the camera so you guys can see the display clearly. Do you think it's worth buying the X17 versus the M17R4? I think from a raw performance per dollar standpoint, probably not. That said, there's a lot more to this machine than just the raw performance, like the display, the potential temperatures, the keyboard, the design, the thinness. There's more to it than just the raw performance. I think if you're looking at a performance per dollar perspective, the M17R4 makes more sense. Okay, we're gonna go to best performance mode. Let's go to Windows Update and get the updates going in the background. Okay, so lots of updates here. Gonna go ahead and install. All right, let's go ahead and get into here. We have all of our benchmarking utilities, which we can copy on over onto the hard drive. Shimran with the $5 super chat. Do you think the i9 versus the i7 3080 versus 3070 is a big difference for gaming? And if Big Apple Buddy is a legit website to buy from, I'm in the UK, by the way. I have never heard of Big Apple Buddy. Doesn't mean it's not a legit site. I don't know anything about it. So I'm sorry I can't help you there. I would mainly, if you're looking to verify the legitimacy of a website, try to find good third-party site reviews, like verified Reddit users or something like that that have bought from that site. You know, stuff like that. Basically a place where it's really hard to fake. So that would be my recommendation. Just verify. Just try to look for actual user reviews that got the laptop in, didn't have a problem with it, or tried to return it and they honored their return policy. So it looks like Windows updates are installing a whole bunch of drivers right now. We're getting flashing screens because of the drivers being installed. Okay, let's go ahead and get Afterburner installed here. Did you plug the battery in? No, I did not plug the battery in. The battery is unplugged right now, currently, but it's not shouldn't affect performance. I'll plug the battery back in after stream's done. Be sure to run the Alienware update too. Yeah, I'm gonna open the Alienware Command Center. Looks like this is not the Command Center. Do they still have the Alienware Command? Yeah, Alienware Command Center. So looks like Dell is using Windows Update to update the firmware on the laptop. So we don't have to do anything as far as downloading the firmware update. Let's adjust my lighting. I'm going to go all zones. And I don't know why they do static blue. I want rainbow wave, right? I want rainbow wave for everything. All keys. Rainbow wave, please. Thank you. touchpad, all zones, rainbow wave. For some reason, the touchpad is not turning on anymore. This is problematic right now because it's let me show you. Touchpad is not activated anymore. This similar type of thing happened with my Alienware X17, and it makes me wonder if this is not a software issue now. That said, the keyboard was all blue, and now we've got the rainbow wave going on. So keyboard is working with the software. The touchpad does not seem to be working with software right now. Can I go static blue? See, it does. The touchpad's just not coming on at all anymore. Can you decrease the camera exposure? It's hard to see. It's a bright display, huh? Okay, I've decreased the camera exposure. Wow, I'm still not decreased enough. Okay. How is that? LOL. Yeah, it's a very bright, vibrant display. True. If we switch to dark mode, it'll be easier to see. Okay. So, nice. Will you do some benchmarks? Yeah, I'm about to do some benchmarks. We're going to do TimeSpy, Cinebench R20, and then try to run Cyberpunk 2077 as well. But right now, I'm just trying to get this touchpad to function how I'm expecting it. But the touchpad is no longer coming on at all. You see this? Like I'm setting it to come on. I'm telling it, hey, activate. And it no longer is interested in being lit up. So this, I think, is something I need to talk to Dell support or something, because I've fiddled with this for a long time on my Area 51M, and it had the same issue. So anyway, it's really not that big of a deal, especially not for this initial impressions. It's just, I'm sure it's a driver or a bug. Maybe it would be fixed if we just update the software. So let's just see if we can do a software update of some kind. So looks like we are all pending restart. Let's go ahead and get this Windows updates to the next phase. And we'll finish Afterburner here too. Okay, restart now. Okay, Afterburner is done. That puppy is so bright. Yeah, this display is incredible. Without a doubt, this is probably the best laptop display I've ever seen on a laptop in terms of brightness, refresh rate, detail, all in one package. Am I going to review the Zephyrus S17? It's currently not on the production schedule because I've got too many laptops right now trying to do them all. But I would love to review the S17 at some point. So Chevron asks, what do you think about the i7 versus the i9? So Chevron, we're going to need to actually do some tests with the i7 versus i9 to be able to see what kind of performance difference we'll see, in actual real life tests. Because in theory, the i9 should perform quite a bit better if it has a higher power limit and you can tweak the voltages and you can undervolt it and you can do all those things because it's unlocked. Then you may experience quite a bit higher performance with the i9 versus the i7. If the i7, for example, is not undervoltable and you can't tweak any of the clock speeds or anything like that, or even adjust the power limits. We don't know yet exactly what you can do with it. But if you can adjust everything, then the i9 will be better if the i7 can't be adjusted. I don't know. Like I said, we just got to do actual testing. But out of the box experience, I don't expect it to be a huge difference. Like if it's just a casual user using a laptop and you get the, Windows update failed on us, guys. That's not a great thing right there. Hopefully that doesn't affect our Windows install. You need to update the Alienware Command Center in the Microsoft Store. So yeah, you either do it in the Microsoft Store or from Dell's support page. Now, regarding the 3070 versus 3080, I think there will be a performance difference, but only maybe about 10% between those two. So not a massive difference, and it may not warrant the price, right? There's a big price jump between the 3070 and 3080. If you've got a lot of extra money, then it's probably worth it. Whoa, 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 whoa. Check this out, check this out. Whoa, the touchpad is working in Rainbow Wave now, and it's actually a Rainbow Wave on the touchpad. This is new. I did not even know it could do this. This is incredible. That looks amazing. Is this an LCD panel under here, or is this like an LED strip across the top that's changing the color? That's awesome, okay? I love that. I freaking love that. That is so cool. Anyway, it's saying the battery is unplugged, and it wants us to plug the battery back in. Okay, maybe that's affecting our Windows updates, so let's just go ahead and get the battery plugged back in. It's quick and easy to open and close this anyway. Did I do the CPU benchmark yet? I did not. But I gotta say, I am amazed with that touchpad, okay? That touchpad is so cool. All right, so removing the bottom, part 2. Plugging in the battery should not affect performance. But, I mean, removing any variable is not a bad idea, but in theory, it shouldn't affect performance. The only reason a battery would affect performance is if the wall adapter did not have enough juice to actually fully power the machine, and the laptop had to pull from the battery for some reason, the battery voltage, which we've got a 330 watt adapter here, so I don't think that would be a problem with this laptop at all. All right. So basically, there's like the corners pop out automatically, and then you gotta manually pop out a couple of side spots, and then it pops right out. It's like one of the easiest panels to remove. Okay, let's plug this battery back in. Okay, battery is plugged back in. Putting the lid back on. We're gonna check the RAM speeds later on. You can't really, like, just from seeing the RAM, the RAM and label, you can't really see all the RAM timings and everything. So the best examples, I think, are actually just running games and running memory speed tests rather than just looking at the label, because the label doesn't really tell you everything. Okay, good, good. Good, good. Yeah, this thing is like just a couple minutes to remove and put back on. Alesso, did I miss? Oh, I might have missed a couple super chats, y'all. Let me go back and check. Apologize. I was very busy for a moment there when Windows Update crashed on me, so that may have been the reason why it failed too. If it was like does a battery check to make sure the laptop has a battery plugged in or something, and then it crashes or stops the update if it doesn't have that. Maybe. Okay. All right, going back here to look at for super chat here. Alesso with the $2 super chat. Looks like the M17 R4 3080 model is discontinued. Oh, really? Interesting. That's a very interesting. I I don't know what to say. Look at that touchpad. Oh, it looks so cool. I'm not gonna lie, that is the coolest looking touchpad on any laptop money can buy right now that I know of. But look, as soon as we get into Windows, Windows just loaded up. Oh, it found my face. It did face Windows login without me even looking up there. Um, as soon as we logged into Windows, it went away. Oh, there it is. Maybe that's what's going on. You have to touch the touchpad, and if you don't touch it, it goes away. Maybe that's why it wasn't activating. That maybe like it goes to sleep after like 30 seconds or something. Okay, and then Sandor M also asked a question. Hi, 3050 Ti or 2060, same CPU. They're going to be very similar performance. Don't know. I haven't seen enough detailed testing between the two, but they're both right around 6,000 in TimeSpy. So I would look at the TDP of the 3050 Ti and 2060. Whatever GPU has more TDP, you'll likely see a little more performance from that laptop. But if everything else is the same, at least. But I would say try to look at some actual detailed tests, but most likely it's not going to be a massive difference either way between those two GPUs. Okay. Cool beans. Is this the 4K screen? Yes, this is the 4K 120 hertz screen. Let me go ahead and get my stuff plugged back in. All right. And let me see. Let's take it all the way dark. So that's what the screen as dark as it goes, and that is very dark. It's kind of hard for me to see that screen anymore. So, and then taking it all the way back to bright again. That is very nice. I really, really like this display. It's a great display, for sure. Okay. And then let's go ahead and make sure Windows Update is going again. So I'm glad our Windows install did not fail. That's really awesome. Now I'm hoping that it does not have a problem on this round. All right, now I want to check Microsoft Store. And I believe this is where we can get our updates for the command center. Looks like I spelt it right. OP Graph says, what display you like more, X17 4K or Blade Pro 17 4K? The X17 4K display, definitely better. It's brighter. It's noticeably brighter, but the they're very similar. The Razer Blade 17 display at least was a touch display though, so that's nice. I think the Intel, it's installing right now, the Intel graphics driver. Hmm. I just touched the touchpad just for fun, just to see it. It looks amazing. Okay. Let's raise this up a little bit. I've been reviewing a lot of 15-inch laptops. So like getting everything in this display into the camera is a little bit harder than normal at this distance. Did you pay more for that gay pride trackpad? Hey, nothing wrong with that at all. Uh, the i7-11800H, can it be undervolted? The user review I saw from some casual user indicated that it could not be, but I wouldn't trust that. I need a more advanced person to actually check it. Okay. One option we could do is just go to the Dell Alienware X17 drivers. So we should be able to X17R1. This looks correct. All right, and I just want to save this. Find the drivers. Okay, so it looks like there was a BIOS update 1.1.2, which that looks newer than what Windows Update sent our way. So let's download that, and then we'll download the Alienware Command Center. And I think I can trust that Alienware will download everything else. We also need the OC controls application. Those are two go together. Keep that. Okay. Alienware M17R4 or RTX 3070 or this one, RTX 3070. They should be pretty similar performance, except that you're going to have the Intel 11th gen performance boost with the X17. If you have the 3466 DRAM, it will disable your XMP with that BIOS update. Really, Mr. Appreciative? That was interesting. How do you get it to enable it again? I'm curious. So if we were to, so right now we're installing Windows Update in the background. I'm gonna wait for that to finish. This is not the Alienware Command Center. We're actually gonna remove the Alienware Command Center. If you downscale games from 4K to 1080p, will they look blurry? They will look about as blurry as a normal 1080p game, which will be pretty noticeable, I think, going from 4K down to 1080p. But if you do 1440p gaming, it will not be very noticeable. It'll look very clear. Intel tuning utility for undervolting. I'm going to try that. Do they include Intel XTU? Does not look like they included Intel XTU out of the box. We're waiting for the update here to finish. But I suppose I could download Intel XTU. So Intel XTU may conflict with the Alienware Command Center to the point where if you run them, how you say, if you run them at the same time, or try to change like the OC settings in the Alienware Command Center, it may overwrite your Intel XTU settings. So it looks like it wants me to restart for Intel XTU to work, but that's done installing now. So this is 89% installed now, so we're letting that finish. Oh, it's 100%. Okay, cool. Anything else? I think we're good to go. So we're going to restart, then we're going to remove Alienware. Then we're going to remove and update the Alienware Command Center. I heard from Reddit. I've been checking every post about the X17. Sam Y says you can re-enable the 3466 and enable the XMP in the BIOS advanced performance options. Okay, that's good to know, Sam. So cool. We're gonna do the BIOS update. We want to just make sure everything's up to date according to how Alienware wants it to be, and then we can go into the BIOS and check out everything. I heard the new BIOS basically makes the i9 a non-K. Well, most likely, it sounds like the new BIOS you have to go in and enable the overclocking and unlock the overclocking features. Yeah, we'll see how it goes. Jai's Kai says, "Hey, because my mine hasn't arrived yet. LOL. I guess I don't need to send you my benchmark." Yeah, I guess not. Okay, so we're updating. It looks like this is probably the firm. Is this the firmware update going on right now? Not sure. It's saying a system update. So the Dragon GFX says, "How much is this laptop, and which one is better, the X15 or the X17?" So the X15 will be much more portable. The X17 will be more powerful because it has a higher TDP. Those are the main differences. But ultimately, both of these laptops are rather heavy. So if you need to have something that's lightweight, you might want to look elsewhere. What would be better? A 16:9 1440p 165 hertz display on the G15, 5900 HS 3060 1 terabyte SSD, or do I pay extra for the M16, which in Canada has a 16:10 1920 by 1200 display and i7? I would go with the Zephyrus G15 in that situation, I think, unless you really want the 16:10 aspect ratio, because the 1440p 165 hertz display is a really nice one with good color gamut and it's fairly bright. So I really like that display. And I'm not sure what that 16:10 1920 by 1200 display would be. But in terms of actual raw performance, those will probably be very similar in performance, and maybe the Intel 11th gen would be slightly faster. Well, depends on what you're doing. Depends on what game you're playing and everything. They're going to be very competitive with each other. Asmit Tawari, hey, is the Lenovo Legion 7 worth buying? Yes, I think it's a worthy laptop to consider for sure. Feel free to check out my recent review though if you want more details. How's the cooling so far? We have not done any of the benchmarks yet, so we haven't been able to test the cooling yet. Is PCIe 4 going to make any difference in this? Maybe if you have very specific use for the PCIe 4. Most likely any kind of like discernible day-to-day performance upgrade may be pretty minimal. We'll see. The MSI Raider laptops beat the X17 in TimeSpy, but that's only laptop. Well, I want to make sure that they're tested similarly, right, Mr. Appreciative? You want to make sure that they both are running the latest BIOS updates, that they're tuned to the performance modes, without anything gimping the system. But yeah, the MSI GE76 has a MUX switch. Well, this one does not. At least this version of this machine does not. So that's going to affect things. Does your version of this laptop have slower RAM as well? It should not have slower RAM because I have the faster XMP 3466 hertz RAM. I need to. We'll do some RAM. We'll do a RAM test though coming up. I'm not sure if I'll do that RAM test today. Probably not. But just because the timing is limited, but I will be testing the RAM in this and I will find out for sure. The GPU in the X17 is linked to the CPU through some Gen 4 PCIe lanes. Yeah, I don't think that was a huge bottleneck though in the past. Um, like I don't think the PCIe lanes were the bottleneck in the past. Maybe that'll affect our MUX list performance because we don't have a MUX in this, but more testing required to know. Yeah, if you ordered the 16 gig RAM model version of the X17, it likely comes with slower RAM. Hey, it found my face again and logged me in before I could touch the keyboard. That's a good sign. It's a good sign. Okay, let me open up Intel XTU. Let me open up Intel XTU and see what options we have right now. Given that we have not changed anything in the BIOS, though, I'm not sure if the BIOS updated on its own already. So it's showing that we are on 1.1.1, and the BIOS version I downloaded was 1.1.2, I believe. And it came out 5 days ago, 6 days ago. Looks like this did not finish downloading before. What is that? OC controls. Looks like the Alienware Command Center didn't finish downloading. Let's go ahead and get that downloaded. Download, please. Thank you. Okay, that's downloading really fast. Okay, so Intel XTU. Here we are. Let's go to advanced tuning. I do not like the screen scaling. It's a bit crazy right now. It makes it hard to see everything in Intel XTU. I'm going to go ahead and do 200% zoom instead of 250% zoom. Okay, so it looks like our core ratios are unlocked for the CPU here, so I can adjust the core speeds if I want to. Cool. Our core voltage offset is unlocked, so if we want to set an undervolt, we can do that right here. Our turbo boost is set to 135, 165, and 135. So it's set very high. Really high wattage, actually. That's insanely high wattage. I wonder what it'll actually run at. And the short turbo boost goes to 165. The long is 135. So I'm very curious to see what that looks like in terms of actual performance. So yeah, so we'll try to if we just go ahead and try to set a minus 0.1 undervolt, let's see what happens. Are we gonna crash? No crash so far with a 0.1 undervolt. Let's go ahead and just set it back to stock. We'll run things at stock first and see what the performance looks like. Sorry. How much power percent do we lose on having a mux switch? At 1080p, it can range from like 3% all the way up to like 30 or 40%. But when you go up to resolutions like QHD and 4K, the percent performance drop gets even smaller, like much, much smaller. In GPU bound games, it'll be like 1 to 2%. In CPU bound games, it'll be more like 5 to 20%, depending on the game. Super CPU bound esports titles like CSGO is where you'll still see bottlenecking happen, even at 4K resolution. Okay, we've got to enable keep on that file. Okay, we now have Alienware Command Center. So let's get our last updates done here. Um, let's start with the BIOS update, going to 1.1.2. Start to flash. Okay. So I wonder if we're gonna have to, yeah, we're gonna restart the machine now. Anshul says, what should I get in my region only? Predator is available with the 3070 and the Tough, whereas the Zephyrus is in the 3060. Should I wait for the Scar or MSI? None of those laptops in particular stand out to me because the Acer Predator is a lower TDP. And not, I don't know, I guess it all depends on the pricing too. I don't know exactly what your pricing you're dealing with, so that's all very important. But yeah, those laptops, none of those stand out particularly well to me. Um, you'd have to give me more specific, pricing versus exactly what specs you're getting for me to be able to give you a better analysis. Can't you bypass with an external display? The mux switch, I mean, yes, you can. You can use an external display to bypass it. But like I said, at a higher resolution, like if you're playing, like I plan on playing at either 4K or QHD resolution on this laptop, primarily at QHD for the most part. And at QHD resolution, the lack of a mux is going to make a very, very small difference. So I'm not that worried about it. Like if I was going to go all the way down to 1080p, I would definitely be more concerned about it. Plus, in the vast majority of games I play, I'll be able to easily get 120 frames per second um, in QHD. So, like games like Apex Legends, I should be able to get 120 FPS even without a mux. So again, I'm not that worried about it. It's gonna really depend on what games you play. But because we only have 120 hertz display on this machine, I mean, you're going to be able to hit that 120 hertz refresh rate super, super often on the internal display. That I really don't think you should worry about having a mux on this machine much. Very specific games that'll make a tiny difference, but it's going to be a very minor thing overall. What is the TDP in this? It's a 150 watt base to 165 watt boost. Do you need to manually configure overclocking in the BIOS? Attorney random, some of the people commenting a little bit ago were indicating that this BIOS update is going to disable any kind of overclocking or undervolting. So we'll see. Can you get 120 FPS in remastered BDO? Philip, I'm not sure, though in BDO, I would generally run on low optimized pretty much no matter what, simply because that game, you do more damage the higher FPS you have. So unless I was getting super maximum frame rates in higher settings, I mean, no matter what, I think even if the display is not showing the 120 FPS, I would still want it to go as high as possible so that the animations happen as quickly as possible because the damage you do is tied directly to your FPS in the game, which is really bad game design, but that's the way it works in Black Desert Online. Um, so, by the way, Philip, I did reach 305 AP in Black Desert Online recently. I've been playing BDO again quite a bit. The Asus Strix Advantage with the 1600M is 1650 and HP Omen 16 with 6060 is 1479. What is AMD's pricing? Uh, yeah, that's a little bit interesting on the pricing. It's hard. I need to see more benchmarks comparing the 6600M to the 6800M. Their performance difference might not be massive. You also got to keep in mind what additional performance differences you have between and sorry, you got to keep in mind what other features the HP Omen 16 has versus the Asus Strix Advantage, like the display quality, resolution, size, battery life, keyboard, touchpad, all of that. I'm not sure you have to do it. You can't just straight compare just the GPU, like what CPU does it come with, what RAM, all of that. Amir Tostin says, goodbye, Area 51M. Yeah. Whoa, can you explain that again with optimization on BDO? So Jasmine Star, so the way the Black Desert Online, when they designed the game engine, They made it so that the character animations will go faster if you have more FPS in the game. So like if you have 100 FPS, your character will do the animation like this, and it's done. And so then you can go on to the next your next attack, and you do the next one. But if you only have 20 FPS, your character will do the animation more slowly, and you'll be like da 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 da, and then you can move on to the next one, da 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 da. And so you basically just do less damage when you have lower FPS. So that's why pretty much all anyone that takes video super seriously tends to run it on like low or medium settings primarily, unless they're just doing it for fun and then they run it on remastered or whatever higher settings. But people who want to like maximize their FPS boost for the most DPS, damage per second, they will run it at that at lower settings. Sorry to be off topic here. Are you going to be reviewing the Zephyrus M16 in detail in a video soon? So I think I answered your question earlier. Maybe you missed it, but I will be doing a live benchmarking of the Zephyrus M16 coming up. It's in the works. Okay, so let's just do a quick check to make sure we're on the new BIOS version. Alienware 1.1.2. It's correct. Let's see if Intel XTU changed at all with that BIOS update. See if we still have the same access to everything. Jasmine Star, I figured this, but I didn't have any proof. Yeah, it's pretty much confirmed without a doubt. Okay, so it looks like I still have access to my clock speeds. And then I still have access to my undervolt, and my boost. So nothing changed with that BIOS update as far as I can tell. But let me check the RAM speed as well. See what we're getting with that. Not sure. Do they list the RAM in here? I might have to do the summary version. Let's try what is it? I think it's let me do a quick memory test. Checking. I think it's called UserBenchmark. So this is a free, easy to run test. This will do a quick benchmark of the laptop. This will basically just tell me what the RAM speed is. That's all I'm really checking with this. Chan says, congrats on the laptop. Was close to purchasing the version you have, but decided to wait for the Legion 7 11th gen Intel. I'm thinking the battery life would be somewhat better and lighter. The Legion 7 will probably definitely be lighter. I don't know if the battery life will be better though, because the Legion 7 battery life that the one I recently did had really crappy battery life. I hope to see a Prima BIOS for this beast in the future. Dude, I loaded the Prima BIOS on a old Clevo laptop I had to allow for because you weren't supposed to install a 6-core CPU on the chassis. I think it was only supposed to do 4 cores, but the Prima BIOS allowed it and it also unlocked for overclocking. So now that I think about it, the thing that failed on that laptop was the motherboard, so it probably just didn't handle it very well. So yeah, you gotta be careful. The processor, it reaches the full 5 gigahertz sometimes, or is it a myth? It will for sure reach 5 gigahertz in like single-threaded applications, like games that only use 1 or 2 threads. It'll definitely hit that high. But whenever you're dealing with games that use lots of threads, lots of cores are engaged, you won't see that high of clock speed. Gizmo, from your experience with the M15R5, was it a good overall experience with thermals, performance, and build quality? So I still haven't done my live benchmarks with the M15R5, but the build quality was really good. The thermals were meh, like the TDP wasn't that high and the temperatures were still fairly high. Um, but the performance was decent. Performance was decent. So um, I need to do more. I need to do more testing though with that one before I can give my definitive opinion on it. It certainly seems like it has potential. Motherboard failed after about 1.5 years of heavy use. LOL. Yeah, Talon, you gotta if you push those motherboards, laptop motherboards, like really hard, oftentimes the motherboard will fail, like the VRMs will go out or something will go out. Gizmo, what is the best laptop in your opinion under $2,500? And do you know where I can buy it physically? I'm not from the US and I need to buy a new laptop. Um, hmm. $2,500 US. Um, some top laptops I would definitely consider would be the MSI GP66 with an RTX 3080 for 2,300. You got the Alienware X17 with 3070 version with a advanced Optimus for I think 2,549, I think, or right around that price, right around $2,500. You can get the Zephyrus G15 RTX 3080 version if you want something thinner and lighter. You got the Lenovo Legion 5 Pro, Legion 7 around those price points. You can definitely get some 3070s or 3080 configurations. Um, let's see this memory speed. 35 and 27 with 104 latency. Not not amazing for memory speeds, though. I did have some applications open. Let's continue on with the tests. It says they're clocked at 3466 still. I'm really curious. I may end up swapping my RAM out for the crucial memory I have if this doesn't provide enough performance, but we'll see. Let's see this memory. So the clock speed it says is 1729. So this is still running at the 3466 clock speed basically. So and the timings are 24:24 to 58. Interesting. So are there CL24? Is that what that would be called? Hmm. Interesting. Interesting. Okay. Let's get Alienware Command Center removed first, and then we're going to. Um, oh, this Command Center is actually very new. It's updated on June 29th. So we may have the latest version of the Command Center already installed. So we may not need to update it. Yeah, this says the version 532. 532. Okay, so this is the latest I already have the latest version of the Alienware Command Center. So we do not need to update the Alienware Command Center at all. All right. Are we ready to see what this thing can do in Cinebench? First step, we've got to set everything to the highest performance mode, best performance. We go to full speed thermals. I don't think we want to do the overclock. We're not going to enable the overclock in here. And we're going to go to high performance power mode. Okay. Cool. Accept. Now we are going to load up HW info. As always. The lower the CL timing is better. Yeah, it means that there's less latency. Do I still have the MSI GE76? No, I shipped that back to MSI already. Okay. Here we go. Let's see what happens. Okay, so the fans are going. I can feel them coming out the sides and the back. A lot of air whooshing. Our temperatures are flying. Some of these cores are getting into the mid 90s already. Our watt power is pretty insane, pulling 113 watts. It peaked at 125 watts, 109 watts of power, 107 watts of power. Our clock speed is 4.6 gigahertz on average, but it is dropping now. We're down to 4.2. So there's like that initial turbo boost period where it goes a bit higher, 4.3 gigahertz. We're averaging about 105 watts of power. And we got 5339 for our first run. 5339. That is the, I think that's the highest I've seen from a laptop so far. We are 93, 84, 93, 96, 99, 100, 94, 89, 91 degrees on our temperatures here. So our CPU temps are spiking. They're spicy. Spicy CPU temperatures. I mean, I don't think it's dangerous. I just think it's a bit, I guess it's expected, in my opinion. When we're pulling this kind of CPU wattage and we're running this high of a power limit, basically, you should expect these kinds of temperatures. That said, we'll see how this does, especially after we apply an undervolt, because I'm expecting the temperatures to go down and the clock speed to go up a bit. Let's see what we do for our second run. 5340, so we're maintaining above 5300. That's crazy. Gizmo slip, a 0.8 millivolt undervolt will put it over 5500. It seems likely. That would probably allow the clock speed on the core here to go above 4.3, 4.4, hang around that territory. And then the temperatures also would not be thermal throttling if we apply an undervolt. So I'm thinking we'll get even better performance. This is pretty freaking nutty performance right here. Definitely the fastest laptop I've tested so far, aside from a desktop CPU laptop. Are you able to make fans full speed all the time? Yes, I have it set to full speed max fans right now. 5346, so we're averaging literally like 5341 out of the box stock. That's awesome. We'll go ahead and just let it run one more time, but I'm anticipating a similar result as the last ones. And then let's try undervolting it and see what kind of performance we get. How is fan noise? It's a bit hard for me to judge the fan noise, given that I also have the Scar 7, my Scar 15 also running right next to it with max fans. I will say there is a bit of a high pitch to the fans somewhere. 5405 for our last run. That is awesome. Okay, let's check out Intel XTU and let's apply. Let's just see if a 0.1 undervolt will be stable or not. We may end up getting a restart here. Most likely, if this doesn't work, we'll just reduce the undervolt down to like 0.8 or something. Here we go. 4.56. This is going to be the initial boost period. 115 watts. Our temperatures are still going rather high. We're not at 100 on the one core. Okay, now we are 99 on one core. Still very high temps. But our power limit is doing just 108, 107, 109. Very high on the power limit, which is going to just really provide a lot of boost to our performance. I'm getting a couple graphical glitches, which means our undervolt is probably not stable. 5447. Let's reduce our undervolt just a little bit, because if we're getting graphical glitches, that means it's not a stable undervolt. I did reset the values on the HW info. Oh, look at that. It set it automatically down to a 0.5 millivolt undervolt. Isn't that interesting? It was not willing to let it go below 0.5. Maybe Alienware has set it so that you can't undervolt beyond that in the firmware. Maybe they found that it just wasn't stable. Let me try a 0.4 because we were getting graphical glitches. Let me just see when I hit apply. Well, interesting. Let's see what is HW info reading for our undervolt. Where's our HW info? It's not reading any voltage offset. Let me try rebooting it. Indeed, interesting. Auto undervolting. No, I had tried going to minus 0.1 on the undervolt, so maybe they've just established a limit so that if you try to go beyond that, it just brings it back down to 0.05 for the undervolt. Okay. Now it's reading a 0.08 undervolt here. So HW info is seeing it. It is saying the CLR voltage offset is only 0.05 though, which is interesting. I'm not sure what the difference is between this CLR voltage offset and your normal core voltage offset. So let's try running this again. Interesting. I wonder if the undervolt just didn't take last time or something. Because look at our temperatures; they're not spiking up to 100. Maybe it's just going to take a minute for it to go up that high. But 115 watts of power. Yeah, it looks like our temperatures are climbing, but they didn't instantly spike up. Like last time, I think it only took a couple seconds for it to get up to like that 95 plus temperatures, but this time it took like quite a bit longer. CLR is the ring. Can you explain what is the ring? Maybe I'm just not familiar enough with the Intel 11th gen architecture. Whoa, my God, 5781. The ring is the Infinity fabric for Intel. Okay, gotcha. $57.81. Oh, doggy. Okay, well, let's see what this thing can get when we run it back to back to back. So we're hitting nonstop 4.58 gigahertz. So we're hitting the core base clock across all cores, which is 4.6 gigahertz. And before we definitely were not doing that during the initial phase. Well, gaming on my M15R4, the CPU temperature is 996 constantly. Is that bad? I don't think that's necessarily bad. It's only bad if it's going to cause you stuttering in your gameplay. It's not going to hurt the CPU at all. The downside is that you're likely thermal throttling. So if there's any way that you can increase, you might be able to increase performance. 5799, a little bit higher, 5799. So if you're hitting temperatures above 90, like 90 to 96, that means you're likely running into that thermal throttle head limit. So 96 degrees, and then it's throttling back down to 90. If you can increase the airflow to your laptop, if you can undervolt it, if you can run the fans at a higher speed, you might be able to get more performance out of the machine because then it won't run into that thermal limit, and then you're going to potentially see at least a little bit more performance. So 4.489, 4.6 gigahertz across all cores right now. So only a very slight thermal throttle is what's happening. Looks like on just like one or two of the cores. 5686. Dang. This is epic. Truly epic gaming performance here, or truly epic rendering performance. The dang. Eric says garbage. Expensive trash. Oh, this is expensive, but I don't know about trash. Oh, goodness gracious. Great balls of fire. Okay, this is the fastest laptop I've tested with a laptop CPU. $57.29. So we're consistently getting right around 57 to 5800. All right, we'll run Cinebench R23 after this, and then we'll move on to TimeSpy. Any difference between XTU and throttle stop undervolts? Mainly just like, for example, sometimes like if Intel XTU won't, like the undervolt won't stick, you sometimes using throttle stop may be a way to make it automatically undervolt every time you restart the machine. But in terms of like as long as they're both working properly, throttle stop and Intel XTU are basically doing the same thing. Will you try overclocking the CPU to see the limits of both the i9-11980HK and this laptop's thermals? I mean, we're pretty much already hitting the thermal limit. Because, I mean, I could try going to 4.8, but it's not going to actually run 4.8. Okay, so I just tried raising the all core speed to 4.8. Let's go ahead and just see. We can see if that does anything. I don't think it will, though. Okay, it's running 4.8, at least initially, 4.7. Now we're down to 4.6. So it only ran at 4.8 for like 2 seconds. I'm guessing 4.6 is just where you're going to run into the thermal limit. So now we're at 4.5, 4.6, 4.5, 4.6. How does this one CPU performance compare to the 11800H and the GP66 Leopard? This is significantly increased CPU performance over the 11800H and the GP66 Leopard. We're getting a higher TDP on the CPU. We're running at a higher clock speed, and our score is dramatically higher. So 57.55 when I raised the all-core turbo speed. So I definitely would not think that you're going to get much more than that. Okay, so let's go ahead and try R23 real quick. We'll just do a single run for the R23. But I mean, we're just going to see what the score translates to, basically. Okay, so we're going to go to preferences. Wait, I think it's under advanced benchmark. Minimum test duration is off. Okay, CPU multi-core, go. Okay. So we'll see what this gets. It's going to be interesting. ZL Thomas. You can go lower on throttle stop. I mean, the main thing is whether or not it's stable, really. Even if you can theoretically set it, you got to actually test the laptop and make sure it's stable in a variety of applications before you can be like, okay, this is a good undervolt, you know? And I would say, in addition, you also want to verify that you're actually getting an undervolt. The temperatures are improving. Oh, 15,113 for our Cinebench R23 score. 15,113. Let me just go ahead and zoom in on that so you guys can see that. There it is, 15,113. Yeah, this thing is setting some new records for benchmarks for CPU performance in a laptop for sure. This is why I had my eyes on this laptop. What hertz screens does this have? 120 hertz 4K. Okay. Let's go ahead and get Steam installed. Usage. So we're just setting up our MSI afterburner overlay, and then we'll be able to hop in and to our TimeSpy test. Cool. All right. Mitchell, I'm sold. I literally just ordered the top spec model. Yeah, this is some impressive performance. We'll have to see what it actually gets in real games, though, right? I think that's the thing you can't forget. Like, it's cool to run Cinebench at that performance, but what does it actually get in real games? Let's see here. I think I don't know how far over I need to make this, but I'm gonna try 1,000 initially. Okay, so I guess I'm not gonna be able to see chat for a moment here. I have to verify this login attempt here. Do. Cool. Let's see here. I should be able to go in here, library, in game. Let's see if I install this. Okay. Okay, where are the apps? So they are in here. Are they in here? Interesting. Steam is weird. Huh. Super weird. I gotta try to get it to recognize my files that I've already downloaded. Okay. Pulling YouTube back up again. Ooh, lots of chat. Um, native 1080p will look 2 times better than downscaling 4K to 1080p. Yeah, generally I would recommend playing at QHD if you're going to downscale. I wouldn't recommend going all the way down to 1080p. Plus, this thing's powerful enough to run at QHD. Intel 11th gen doesn't benefit from a MUX because Intel iGPU is so fast. I think you will still benefit from Intel 11th gen having a MUX. But the main thing is if you're playing CPU-bound games at 1080p resolution, because the resolution is a huge factor in whether a MUX helps very much or not. Like if you're playing at the 4K resolution, you will almost not notice any difference at all. And any games that you would notice a difference, you're probably going to hit 120 FPS anyway. Can you show the BIOS of this laptop, please? Does it have advanced BIOS like the MSI ones? We have not loaded into the BIOS yet. I'm not against going into it, though. I'm actually curious what's in the BIOS, too. I gotta say, there is a rather loud fan noise. It's kind of like a little whistling sound to the fans, it seems like. It's hard. I don't know. You guys probably can't hear it at all. Yeah, I don't think it's gonna come up, be very noticeable for you. I have to use my other mic for it. But the fan noise definitely is not just like a low whoosh. It definitely has a bit of a higher pitch to it. Of course, if you use headphones or if you don't run it on max fans, you won't notice it as much, but it'll depend. I wonder why TimeSpy is not installing here. It's at 0% for some reason. Oh, maybe this. What? Okay. Steam is weird. Okay, so it downloaded it all the way, then it discovered existing files, and now it's re-downloading the whole thing. Okay, Steam. I suppose using an external SSD has its downsides, though. In regards to VR, is the TimeSpy overall or GPU score more important? In general, for the TimeSpy, I would just focus on the TimeSpy GPU specific score. Don't use the overall combined score or the CPU score. I wouldn't take either of the other scores that seriously because I think the GPU score is going to be the best indicator of GPU bound game performance. So we currently have no overclocks on the laptop GPU. That said, we need to update our NVIDIA driver. Our NVIDIA driver needs some updating here before we run this, I just realized. Well, we have our first crash here. It looks like the laptop restarted, probably because of the Intel undervolt. So just removing the undervolt will probably fix the crash or reducing it slightly. Windows Hello is working flawlessly so far for me. Robotic Venom. I'm sold. Wait for TimeSpy, garbage TimeSpy score. Well, we'll see. We'll see what the TimeSpy score is. Okay, so CPU voltage is lower. So or it's back to default. Sorry, 0, 0. So no undervolt at all going on right now. Let's go ahead and make sure Windows is set and the command center is set for max performance and all of that. Papa3 says, thanks for your vids. It helped me ballpark what I needed for DCS and squadrons with the Quest 2. Yeah, no problem, Papa. It's kind of difficult to understand VR performance without people doing it, you know. So only the 360 hertz has the mux switch. Mr. Appreciative, that's the one that's confirmed to have Advanced Optimus, not a mux switch. It's a bit different. Advanced Optimus will switch on the fly without needing a reboot. Therefore, it's superior, in my opinion, than a mux switch. More convenient, as long as it works properly. Okay. How good is that 4K 120 hertz display? It's really, really bright, vibrant, and responsive. I'm not seeing much ghosting on the display. Like this thing looks incredibly, uh, incredibly bright. Like right now, I have it set, my camera set to 2 stops down on the brightness category. I just set it to be normal again. So it's just like pretty blinding for the camera if I don't reduce the brightness down a little bit. Okay, let's get Afterburner running. In terms of casual gaming displays, this is probably the best one for a casual gaming display, or the best display for a casual gaming display. Okay, I think we're ready to go to run this. We're on high performance mode, Afterburner's running. Let's get HW info because I always have that open in the background as well, just to be fair for all of my other tests. Okay. Here we go. Let's see what we get for TimeSpy. Now, I did look up some benchmarks on Reddit for this recently, and I added those to my spreadsheet. But basically, the machine performed a bit better with faster RAM compared to the slower 16 gig default sticks, at least in the test that I saw, like in the Mash It or Mash IT YouTube review. Oh, we got the demo. I forgot to uncheck the demo. We canceled that. So the fact that we have the faster RAM, we've got the faster 3466 megahertz XMP RAM in this laptop. So I don't think the RAM's going to be an issue in this TimeSpy run. But we do have NVIDIA Optimus, and that should reduce our performance a bit. So I'm expecting around, if I were to guess, I'm expecting 12,000 from the machine right here. Maybe a little bit more, maybe a little bit less. We'll see. But I'm expecting around the 12,000 mark. When I plug it into an external monitor, I'm expecting to get around 12,600 or so. This laptop should have a QHD 240 hertz option. Absolutely no clue why it doesn't have it when the X15 does. It's just because they have that model available in the 15-inch size, and we don't have that available in the 17-inch size, and that's just because of display manufacturers. Okay, so taking a look here, we're getting 160 watts, approximately 158, 157. It was over 160 for a moment, or 159. So we're boosting right now up to about 159 watts of power to the GPU. For some reason, we're not connecting in properly, so we're not seeing some of the information here, but our GPU clock speed is 1725. I am confident we could get that to be boosted quite a bit higher, probably over 1800, 1850 something, with just a slight overclock. I think this is our GPU utilization at 99%. I don't know what this number is, the 64 and the 57. This is probably the TDP being used on the CPU. Wonder if this will link in properly right now. MSI Afterburner, yeah, and Riva Tuner. I think it's Riva Tuner that's not coming through properly. QHD is useless on the 15-inch. Bill, I would disagree. It's a noticeable improvement on my Scar 15 over a 1080p display. I can definitely see the difference, but it's just not a massive difference. You're only gonna really notice the difference if you have sharp, good eyesight. I especially notice the difference though. I guess it depends on what you do too, because I do notice the difference, the increased resolution, and when working with spreadsheets, the extra resolution is really awesome. But like for example, in gaming, it's going to be hard to tell the difference on a 15-inch display, 1080p versus QHD. But like when reading text, it's definitely going to be noticeable. Okay, so 27 watts of power to the CPU, 3.3 gigahertz to the CPU, it looks like 21% utilization. I think that's what that is. 99% utilization on the GPU, 1725 on the clock, 162.5 watts of power, 160 watts of power. And this, I believe, is our memory clock, 7001. Oh, first number is temperature. Right. That's what that is. Z Thomas. Yeah, the temperature. Makes sense. And the temperature makes sense because it's like 70 something. Very good temperatures there. I believe it was just running around 70. When I run this test, my GPU utilization jumps around. It doesn't stay at 99%. Why is that? It might be CPU. Maybe CPU bottlenecking or other issues. I'm not sure. It should in theory, as long as your CPU is providing enough bandwidth, it should be 99%. Okay, so wow, 12,000 exactly. Basically what I was expecting using the internal monitor. 8908. So using an external monitor, we should see a significant increase to the CPU score. Now, again, keep in mind, the lack of a mux, the lack of advanced optimus is what is shaving off our points here. We would be getting, I believe, around 12,600, 12,700 if we boosted that. Now, in addition, a lot of laptops, like on my Scar 15, comes with a stock overclock, right? So let me pull that up. What's the stock overclock on my Scar 15? Stock GPU overclock. Oh, it doesn't have it, but I believe it's 100 by default. 100 on the clock, 150 on the memory. So if we were to apply the same overclock using MSI Afterburner, I'm curious what our score would be, because a plus 100 overclock is a very manageable overclock for the vast majority of laptop. Oh, yes. Okay. Yes. Okay. CPU score is kind of low too. Yeah, I would agree. This is a bit on the low side for the CPU score. Um, again, I don't, whenever I run TimeSpy, I only focus on the GPU graphics score. This is the only number that I really think is indicative of game performance, generally speaking. So with this overclock, plus 100 and plus 150, let's see what we get in TimeSpy now. Also, let me try restarting Afterburner and see if we can get Afterburner to load properly. Cool. Is this score undervolted? No undervolts or overclocks on that last score. It was all stock. How is this comparing to the Legion 7 with the 3080 and 5900HX? So the Legion 7 with a 3080 and 5900HX should. I haven't seen any official benchmarks for the Legion 7 with the 3080 in it, but if it runs properly, it should get over 12,000, potentially up to 12,600 if it's running at optimal clocks and TDPs. Mitchell gives us the tech. Apparently, all X17s use the same motherboard, which has a MUX, but it is software disabled in the 4K variant. I feel like Alienware will enable it. Interesting. That's very interesting. Okay, notice our clock speed is now 1800. We were running about 1725 on the clock, or 1700 to 1725. Now we're running 1800. Also, our TDP was a little bit below 160, and now we're above 160, like 162, 163. So we're definitely seeing that overclock in play here, and our memory clock is also boosted quite a bit. Look at our GPU temperature, only 66 degrees. That's really, really good. That said, this isn't really a good stress test for temperature testing, but you can see temperature spike usually just in the course of a TimeSpy. What game am I going to play? I'm going to run Cyberpunk 2077 coming up here. Am I going to test with an external screen? Not in this video, not in this live stream. But guys, in terms of calling each other out and saying like, oh, you better not buy this laptop, or you better buy that laptop, or this laptop, like try not to deride each other. Let people buy what they want to buy and not have to argue in the chat. I don't want the chat to be about arguing, okay? Especially not with other users. You can have discussions with me, but especially don't. I know that a tech community can get all possessive over tech products, but let's see what the products can do. We'll try to honestly analyze them. You know, look at the reality of the situation without trying to get all biasedy, you know, and trying to not get our emotions in the mix. Because I think that's important to stay, you know, neutral, especially when it comes to like Intel versus AMD or Radeon versus NVIDIA. So interesting. We're only getting 1755 on the clock here, but our TDP is very high, up to 166 there, 165, 166. Is the laptop score pretty good? So because we don't have a MUX, I believe the laptop score is a bit lower than ideal. '70C is great temps for the laptop. Yeah, I would agree, especially given um, the really high TDP we're pulling. That said, we'll see what kind of temperatures and performance we get in the Cyberpunk coming up here. Okay, CPU. What the CPU was experiencing good amount of load there, so that's a good indication it was fully engaged. Okay, so with the slight overclock, we got 12,366, and with an external monitor, I'm pretty sure this would get closer to 13,000, closer to 13,000, probably 12,800, 12,900 with this overclock. So now let's go ahead and run Cyberpunk. So my quick take on this score is the lack of a MUX reduces the score by a bit. How much that's going to actually affect gameplay and actual performance in games, we'll have to see. Looks like Cyberpunk 2077 just needs an update, so let's go ahead and get the update going. How are you liking the build quality of the X17 in comparison to other gaming laptops? I really like the build quality. I'm a little disappointed at the flex in a couple of places. I went around showing the flex around the laptop. Let me go ahead and just show you again. But basically, right here is a little bit more flex than I would ideally love. And then up here, there's like this slight pop feel that I feel when I push down on the laptop. So almost like something is popping on the inside of the laptop. Again, in the normal use of the laptop so far, it has not popped like that at all. So I don't think it's not that big of a deal, but it's just it is what it is. Love this touchpad. Let's go ahead and test out the speakers while we're waiting for this to download. Are you yet disappointed? I gotta say, the TimeSpy score is not amazing, at least not without using an external monitor. So I wouldn't know if disappointed is the right term. I want to see what the actual performance in games is like. That said, it is higher scores than I was getting on the Asus Strix Scar 15, which was 11,400, so 600 more points than that. I wish it was 12,600. And I'm confident that the GPU performance is there. It's just the lack of MUX really that's holding it back. But I don't know if disappointed is the right term for it. I think it's more like I knew before this live stream, I've already been looking at benchmarks, so I already knew it was going to be around there. And so the question is the lack of MUX going to hold back gaming performance in actual games? Because I'll be able to see the performance difference with this machine versus the GE76 that I also did tests with. So we'll see. Okay, so I loaded up Sand Hollow Light here. I'm going to try to get this mic close enough so you can hear what it sounds like. Let me go ahead and turn off the fan noise. Now, I got to say, in terms of performance, I'm very, very impressed with the CPU performance in particular. So, and I'm thinking that the CPU bound game performance will be really, really good, especially with an external monitor. So you factor all of that together, I think this is still going to be a great laptop for me because the CPU bound game performance is the CPU performance is one of my number one factors because I edit videos on the laptop, on my laptop. So having more CPU performance is arguably more important to me than having a slightly higher TimeSpy score. Like if this is the fastest laptop CPU that money can buy, then that may be like that's a more important factor for me personally, and that's going to vary from person to person. And I can totally understand why a TimeSpy score of 12,000 will be a turnoff for some people. Okay, are you ready? Let's see what this sounds like. Okay, initial impressions of the speakers are mixed. Reasonable volume, not very bassy though. I was hoping for more bass. Let's go into the audio. Let's just see what audio profile it's set on right now. Like if I set it to this music, oh, bass boost is off. I'll bet you if I just turn that on and then play again. Even if it makes me blind, I just want to see the light. Breathe in, leave it. Okay, so the mids and highs are clearly there. I wish it had a little bit more bass. I need to spend some more time with it. The other thing is you can get a noticeable volume improvement with these different audio profiles in here. Like on my Area 51M, when I change the different profiles here, you could have sometimes like a 20 to 30% volume improvement. Yeah, I mean the speakers are solid. They're just not amazing. They're pretty close to the Scar 15, though I think the Scar 15 speakers are just a little bit better. We can't hear the speakers properly through the mic. Yeah, I bet you the speakers don't come through clearly because of the uh, filters in OBS. Who uses laptop speakers? I do. Like when I watch Netflix in bed, or uh, let's say I'm editing a video. I usually use the laptop speakers for editing the video, or headphones, depends. Um, when I'm sitting on the couch, sometimes I play music over the laptop speakers. So, yeah. What are the best laptop speakers that you've ever tested? MacBook Pro. Yep, the MacBook Pro, best speakers. They put everything else to shame, quite frankly. How much is the TDP for the GPU on this laptop? Sorry, I'm late. It's 150 to 165 watts. How do the RAM benchmarks compare to Mashit? Uh, I need to do more testing. I didn't do a very good test earlier. I used UserBenchmark, but the UserBenchmark tests for the RAM speed was not amazing. I want to go into the BIOS as well before I end the stream. I want to test Cyberpunk here and then go into the BIOS. Am I going to review the X15? I'm going to, at the very least, do a live stream of the X15 and a live unboxing of the X15. I ordered an RTX 3070 X15 to review. Will you do a testing games live stream with this laptop? Yes, I will be doing a benchmark session with this laptop for sure, and I will definitely be doing a full and detailed review of this laptop. So, how do they put the Scar 15 speakers to shame? No, these don't. No, I'd say the Scar 15 speakers are a little bit better than the X17. I don't know. Maybe I misphrased something, or maybe you misunderstood me, but no, I would say the Scar 15 speakers are a little bit better, a little bit more full sounding to me. Though I need to do some more tests. The MacBook Pro speakers are amazing, best laptop speakers. Yeah, they're better than any of the Windows laptops so far that I've tried. Even big beefy 17-inch laptops still don't beat the MacBook Pro speakers for some reason. Where did I get the lights on my wall? I bought them from Best Buy. I think I have a link in the description to them. I don't know if I do or not. Um, but yeah, they're the. Let me see here. What's this company called? Nanoleaf. They're the Nanoleaf hexagonal speakers or lights, LED lights. I really like them. Okay, so 15.6 gigs downloading. We're having to do a full giant update. Unfortunately, we're only getting 30.4 megabytes per second on our download speed, which is a bit slower than I would ideally like to see. Let me try switching the laptop over to the direct connection into the router and see if we can increase the download speed so we don't have to wait as long. I'm just waiting for it to reconnect here. Oh, MacBook Pro versus Scar 15. I'm surprised. Yeah, the MacBook Pro, the volume is just louder. And then the bass is there, the mids are there, the highs are there, and it's just like the overall volume is just like on another level with the MacBook Pro. Gushin Trash Talk, so this doesn't outperform the GE76. In CPU performance, uh, this will be at least competitive. I'm thinking this will beat the GE76 in CPU performance because the GE76, even if it has the same CPU, it only has 2 heat pipes to the CPU and it just can't handle this high of a TDP as we're seeing in this laptop. So for GPU performance, though, the GE76 with a mux switch will probably beat this one unless you use an external display. Just search TimeSpy scores on the 11980HK and the 3080. Top scores are the MSI raters. Yeah, but if you use an external display on the Alienware X17, you should be able to compete directly with those scores with the MSI rater. So, or if you get the MUX enabled display. In an announcement, Dell mentioned there's a setting in the BIOS to manually prioritize the GPU power first or the CPU power first. Is it actually there? I am not sure. Here, let me check to make sure that we're downloading still. Yeah, we're downloading about twice as fast now with direct connection into the router. MacBooks aren't good for anything a computer is used for, of course, so just get a mobile phone. LOL. I mean, that's not necessarily true. You can do lots of good productivity things on a MacBook. It's just you have to use Mac OS software, such as like Final Cut or use software optimized for Mac OS. Gives us the tech thoughts on the best portable small footprint laptop for good CPU performance for CPU bound games. GS66 Stealth, Razer Blade 14. Both of those are good options. You also have the Electronics Max 15. What else would be a good option for something thin and light like that? Like I mean, the Omen 15, well, the Omen 15T has a MUX. The Aorus 15G and Aorus 15, at least the Aorus 15G does have a MUX. That'd be another great option. MacBook Pro is very good for programming. Sure, yeah. Lots of just general use applications. MacBooks are going to be great for that. It's just MacBooks just suck for gaming. That's pretty much it. If you want to do modern AAA games and competitive games, you just can't do a MacBook pretty much unless you do like live streaming from like a game server. Would a VR headset have the same performance effect as an external monitor? Yeah, you'd be able to use a VR headset, direct connect through the like mini display port or HDMI, and you're going to have full 100% performance through those ports, unless you are using a laptop that hooks the external monitor through that display port. So it's just going to depend from laptop to laptop. Like on the Asus G14, I believe the HDMI is connected to the integrated GPU, so that's going to have slight performance reduction. Versus, for example, on the this laptop, all of the display outs except for the Thunderbolt 4 go through the NVIDIA GPU. So it'll just vary from laptop to laptop. Britt Allen, where have you been lately? I've been around. I've been posting. I just been busy. Please tell me, does the 11th gen beat Ryzen or not? Well, yes. This 11th gen i9-11980HK definitely is beating Ryzen in terms of raw CPU performance, at least in synthetic test Cinebench R20 and R23, without a doubt. Uh, that said, that said, game performance we need to see. I'm expecting really, really good game performance from this laptop, especially when hooked to an external monitor to bypass NVIDIA Optimus. Okay, let me try. While we're waiting for that to install. Oh, hold on. Okay, so this is currently estimating 7 minutes to download Cyberpunk 2077. Let me go ahead and just slide this over. And let me see if I can open. Let me see if I can open up Firefox without it causing lag to the machine here. Okay, so let me know if the stream starts lagging out, but I'm hoping it's not going to cause any kind of lag here. So I just want to mention I spent a lot of hours making and managing the sheet. I'm still in the process of updating this to all of the latest stuff in the last couple of weeks. But this has tons of info on here for Cinebench scores, TimeSpy scores. These are most of these are links to actual benchmarks that you can click on and go visit as well. There is locations you can buy these laptops. I've got different sections here. We've got most recently added stock. So these are laptops that are typically been sold out or not available yet. And so I have a separate section here that you can see when a laptop comes in stock. You can also see the last time I updated the spreadsheet right here. Gaming laptops with discounts are right here. So I go through the websites and look for laptops with discounts, and I add those here. My top recommended gaming laptops are right here. And this laptop is adjusted regularly and updated regularly. I need to go through and make sure this is all of my top recommendations based on the latest data. But I made this last update about a week and a half, 2 weeks ago or so. So should be pretty up to date for that section. And then this main list is where you can see all of the different laptops available. And this will give you an idea of the rough value that you get with the GPU performance on a per dollar basis, as well as the overall potential performance versus the top laptops. You can also see whether a laptop has Optimus or a MUX switch or not for the vast majority of the laptops. Though I need to do some more diving. Like I said, I need to go through and update. A lot of the laptops that are missing this information are the most recently added ones with the Intel 11th gen. And so I need to go through and confirm with all the brands and manufacturers which ones are which, or look up actual user reviews. So, but just know that the vast majority of gaming laptops that you can possibly buy from major retailers are on this list. So it's a great way to comparison shop around specific price points. Like if you say, oh, I've got an $1,800 price point, you can just go to the $1,800 section and start looking through those laptops and check out the listings and all of that. So yeah, this is a list that I hope you guys find helpful and helps you find a gaming laptop you'll love. And if you do end up buying a laptop, like no pressure to buy ever, but some of these links in here will go to help support me as a creator. But there's a bunch of laptop links in here that don't support me still. So I'm working to try to get as many of them as affiliated as I can, but I still add links in here that are not affiliated. Like for example, Lenovo links are not affiliated, and electronics links are not affiliated, and there's a bunch of brand links up here at the top that are not affiliated. So there's brand stores here you can check out. If you're looking for customized laptops, there's these right here. General retailers, these are mostly affiliated. I think all of these except maybe the Best Buy Canada ones are affiliated. Now, I do want to also mention that my top laptop lists right here, these are out of date by about 3 months. They don't have the Intel 11th gen CPUs in those lists. So I need to go through and update these top categories. Best 3080 gaming laptop of 2021. Right now, I am leaning towards the Alienware X17, but it's like that's the laptop I'm choosing to purchase as likely to make my own personal laptop. But the GE76 with the same i9-11980HK is also up there, as well as the Zephyrus Duo 15 and the Strix Scar 17. All of those could be considered top contenders, I think, in terms of the highest performance laptops. You also have this Clevo G170KMG with a desktop CPU and an RTX 3080 that's a 150 to 165 watt. Very high performance laptop there as well. So those would be my top contenders for the most powerful 3080 laptops, but there's a lot of contenders, like if you're looking for the best bang for the buck RTX 3080, like the GP66 Leopard with an RTX 3080, or the Strix Scar with an RTX 3080, or the Zephyrus G15 with the 3080. So there's a lot of different laptops out there. Will this CPU beat my Clevo? LOL. Britt, we got 50. I think the highest Cinebench R20 score we got was like 5,800. So I don't think that's going to beat yours. But we still got we were averaging with an undervolt like 50, like over 5,700, like around 5,730 or something like that for Cinebench R20. I don't think there are any high refresh rate OLED laptops yet. There was 90 hertz OLED laptops that were announced. I don't know if they've been released yet, but I don't think they're gaming oriented. Looks like Cyberpunk is almost done downloading now. Looking back over my shoulder there. But yeah, so that's the current state of the list. It's mostly up to date, but I need to go through and spend some more time and add a bunch more links for the latest laptops. And then I also need to try to find a little bit more detailed information on some of these laptops now that there's some reviews out there for them. It's just probably like 15 to 20 hours of updating and data research I need to do to find all the data and add it to the list. Also, I want to mention there is a notes section over here for where I find my data. So I try to link to that information. I also include the TDP of the CPU and the GPU if I can on the sheet, so you get a better idea of the rough power limits that you get on the CPU and GPU. So all of that data I think really helps you figure out which laptops are really worth your time and your money. Okay. Let me switch back over to this cam. Let me go check on the laptop real quick. I just whacked myself in the head. I hope you guys couldn't see. Oh, oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah. Okay, so looks like we're done downloading Cyberpunk. Let's get this camera set up again. Cool, cool, cool. We are plugged in. We have power. Is Afterburner still running? Cool. We need to go into the Alienware Command Center and set to full performance again. Cool. Okay. Something else I want to point out that I'm noticing for the first time, the left and right wrist rests are warm. Okay. So some people will not like that. They want the wrist rests to stay cool to the touch. I prefer the wrist rests to stay cool to the touch, but I'm guessing because I set the performance fan profile to be balanced mode that it oh oh I just realized, did we run TimeSpy without updating our NVIDIA driver? Not that I think it would make much of a difference, but I think we did. But, I think we did not update the NVIDIA driver yet. Might have to restart the computer here. Because that actually might improve our performance just a little bit. Am I going to review the LED Acer Triton 500 SE? Currently not planning to. Let's go ahead and restart the computer, see if that fixes our GeForce experience. But we're going to restart the machine, get our NVIDIA drivers updated, and then probably run TimeSpy one more time just to make sure. Oh god, GPU not detected, haha. It's because NVIDIA Optimus disabled it, most likely, is what's going on there. Will the cooling system and the high TDP on the X17 give you more room to overclock the GPU? Possibly Papa 3. We'll have to see what the actual temperatures are like. But for example, on the GE76, it's 150 to 155 watt GPU. So for very GPU bound games, it can only push up to 155 watts max TDP. having that extra 10 watts of headroom will just basically help boost the X17's performance in heavily GPU bound games. It's not going to help in games that are like combined CPU, GPU bound or CPU bound in nature. Will my wife's boyfriend kill me if I buy one? What? Okay. So let me see if I can see what our GPU. So our graphics driver is 4.62. So we've got a really old GPU driver. Oh, right. I set it to not connect to my Wi-Fi. Yeah, so connected to the internet now. This may help our GeForce experience. Thanks chat for helping me out. That could also affect GeForce experience, though I believe NVIDIA Optimus is just disabling. Yeah, NVIDIA Optimus is probably just disabling the GeForce uh, NVIDIA GPU. So I'm not sure what the best way to enable it is. Maybe just to like run an application like TimeSpy or something, and then that should flip on the NVIDIA GPU and maybe allow us to detect it. Are both M.2 drives running at PCIe 4.0? I do not know, Broly. Gizmo, what do I think about the X15? Do you like it? Um, in general, I wouldn't recommend the X15 to someone unless they're really after a super premium experience. They don't mind the laptop to be a little bit heavier. Um, I don't know. Like to me, the X15 is just a weird combination of a really high price tag and medium performance in a package that's not that light, though it is extremely thin. So if you're really after thin premium, then maybe it's something to consider. I'm sure that you'll be able to get. I'm sure you'll be able to play games really well on it. Have a good time using the laptop. That's not going to be the problem. It's just for your money, it's not that great of a bang for the buck. That's my thoughts on the X15. Connect an external display to force NVIDIA GPU so you can detect it. Yeah. Am I the only one that doesn't like the dumb alien head? Yes, I think so. No, I don't know. I'm sure some other people don't, but I like it. Steam does not want to run right now. I don't know why. Okay, let's see here. Let's just manually download the driver. See if that will work for us. Um, Now, in terms of why Steam won't load, that's pretty weird. Let's just end Steam. Steam probably crashed in the background or something. Newegg return policy sucks. Um, yeah, I think they charge like a restocking fee, don't they? If you've opened the product, they charge a restocking fee. That's my understanding, at least. It's one of the reasons why I generally prefer to recommend Best Buy if you can, because it has the no restocking fee return policy if you open it, even if you open it. Okay, so let's try launching TimeSpy, and then let's just see, does GeForce Experience work after we launch TimeSpy? I don't know. I'm thinking we just need to remove GeForce Experience because it seems like it's just not working. All right, and we'll just run. Guess we'll need to let this finish. We're unzipping this on extracting it here first. DDU if you have to. Yeah, maybe. What would you recommend someone getting into gaming? The Lenovo 7, Alienware R4, or the X17? If you've got the money, I would say go Lenovo 7 or X17. If you want to save a little bit more money, probably go with Lenovo 7 or Alienware. Or go Legion 5 Pro or Alienware. So wait, what did it say? Did it say we couldn't install it? I got to read the error message. I currently don't have plans to do the S17. Hey, sir, should I go for the R4 because it's much cheaper? Possibly. If you want to save some money, it's certainly a good budget option. Okay, looks like it's working now. We'll do the custom and we'll do a clean install. Cool. Gizmo, what do you think about the AMD versus Intel these days? Do you think AMD is smoking Intel at the moment or not? Um, I think it mainly comes down to pricing, like on an individual basis, because sometimes you can get an Intel laptop at a really good price, and sometimes you get a Ryzen laptop at a really good price. And so I think it just comes down to specific model and maybe what sale is going on. I think they're very competitive with each other right now. For general productivity, I think the Ryzen is generally a better bang for the buck. At the ultra high end, though, this Intel i9-11980HK is, I think, going to beat the Ryzen 5900HX. So, okay. Looks like everything installed as far as I can tell. So we should be on the latest version now. Weird stutteryness going on there. Something went wrong. Try rebooting your PC and then launch GeForce Experience. So this same error code is going on, keeps happening. But we do know for sure that we're on the latest version now of the NVIDIA driver. So let's try running TimeSpy one more time. And just see, I don't expect a performance boost, but maybe there will be one. I'm expecting a similar score. All right, so we have default clocks, no overclock at all. I believe we are good to run. Let me just close that. And yep, okay. And let me just make sure that it's not going to do the demo. No demo. Okay, there we go. DDU, bro. maybe, maybe that's the problem, Mr. Appreciative. Um, I just don't want to take the time to do that right now. I may need to do that. Don't test with faulty drivers. I don't think that the actual driver is faulty. I believe it's just GeForce Experience at this point. What laptop do I recommend? Around $2,000? Probably the GP66 or the Aorus 15P. Eh. Is this the best place to get the DDU on an installer? I don't trust Bing to send me to the right place. Wagnersoft site. Okay, so it looks like it's the same. This should be fine then. Okay, close those. I believe all of the stock settings should be just fine, right? Do I need to be in safe mode? Oh, because it's going to install the automatic driver. I don't usually use DDU. Usually the clean install of NVIDIA works just fine for me. Okay. Well, this is turning into a lot more time than I was hoping. Let me let me go and shut down. Yeah, this is a pain. Yeah, you use a DDU just cause. So the basic instructions for DDU would be um, load into safe mode, prevent. F8 should let me load into safe mode, right? I might need to press F12. Yeah, looks like F12 is needed. RX 6800M is for VR because of 12 gig VRAM. Yeah, it should work pretty well for VR. Have you played Cyberpunk? Not yet, DJ Rockman. We're trying to get the drivers with a good clean install first. Let me load into the BIOS real quick. Just check it out. Okay. So on this base, so we're in BIOS version 1.1.2. You can see we have the 11th gen i9-11980HK, Intel UHD graphics, RTX 3080, 2 terabyte Samsung, 330 watt power adapter, 32 gigs of DDR4, A data XMP memory. It's saying the memory speed is at 3200 megahertz, though it should be in the actual Windows. It was saying 3466. Is there a more advanced mode to enable? Just looking. So I see a performance options section, CPU TCC offset, overclocking feature, enable. Yes. We're going to enable XMP memory, 1. Fan performance mode. I can probably just leave that to default, I would think. Core overclocking level 1, level 2, and customization. Interesting. Okay, so this is where we can set some core clock ratios, core voltage. I think we're just going to. Honestly, I don't care about overclocking the CPU very much because we're going to be thermal throttled no matter what. This XMP memory enable though is good. Okay. Advanced battery charge mode. Interesting. So you can set the battery to charge to certain levels. That's cool. So if you know you need it, you can extend the battery life of your laptop, possibly that way. Okay. TCC offset 15. Mr. Appreciative. No, I was just reading the bio, so it wasn't ignoring you. I was just reading through all the options in here. What is TCC? I believe that means core clock. Thermal control circuit. I'm not sure. What does TCC mean in this context, Mr. Appreciative? And when you set up the TCC offset to 15, what exactly is it doing? It's about temps, so you can limit to 15C. CC offset controller allows users to control the max CPU temp of their system, ranging in a value between 0 and 15. Just remember increasing TCC. Sean is saying it underclocks for temp control. From 100 to 100C offset, 15 offset set max temps to 85C. I mean, I don't want to set the max temps to be 85. I like having it go to 100. That's fine with me. Yeah, I don't want to set it to throttle that. Yeah, so it's basically this is the max temp offset, basically, is what you're saying. And I don't want to change that. So XMP set to 1, though, is I do want to change that. Save configuration and reset? Yes. Thanks, Jeff, for clarifying that. On your desktop, you can set the max temp to 115 degrees Celsius. So would I be able to increase it so that it could go up to 105 degrees? Because I think Intel has said that this can go to 105, right? Safely. Can we get more performance if we set it to 105? Alienware claims setting TC offset to 15 will help FPS. I don't know about that. I think that would probably reduce performance, not increase it. If what everyone's describing is correct, if it's thermal throttle, if you're changing the thermal throttle temperature. Let's see here. To load into safe mode with Windows 10, previously you'd press F8. I'm not sure which option to select in the current version of Windows to have it go into the safe mode. Support assist OS recovery. I don't know if this is going to allow me to put it in safe mode. Do you guys know what the best way to load into safe mode is? Which Alienware had a far better usable BIOS? Which features would you want, Dave? When are you going to test Cyberpunk? Whenever I can get um, the full driver to install. Because TimeSpy was not loading after updating the driver. I don't think this is where we're going to. I don't think this is where we're going to see our get into safe mode here. To access the boot manager for your system, press the key combination Control plus F8 during startup. Okay, so Control plus F8 is that's apparently the button I need to press now. So, because I was just trying to press just F8. Latest driver is 471.11. Yes, we have the latest driver installed, 471.11, but it would not load TimeSpy for some reason. Would I recommend the M16 3070? I needed more tests with the M16 3060, but it did not let me load into into safe mode at all there. There may be a way to load into safe mode here. But this is the kind of thing I don't want to bog down the stream too much trying to troubleshoot this. If Cyberpunk will run stably, let me just make sure that it did update to the latest drivers in here. So right here you can see it says 471.11. As long as we are able to run Cyberpunk stably, then I'll be okay with it. That said, I want to run TimeSpy really bad. I'll be okay with it for now. I'll troubleshoot it some more before I do live benchmarks. My next stream. Did I get a faulty unit? I don't think so. I think this is just a software issue. I really want to know that the G15 3070 version is worth the price. Is important for me to know. I think it's the Zephyrus G15 is good. the thing is, you're sacrificing some performance for portability. So just watch my review on the Zephyrus G15. I kind of go into everything in that one. One more thing that goes wrong, and I'm gonna cancel LOL. I mean, you do you. I don't think that this is anything out of the ordinary, the things that I'm really dealing with here. So, did I complete Half-Life Alyx? Yeah, I did. It's a great game. I really love the way the game ended. Like the last couple levels were really well done. Would you flash the VBIOS on the X15 3080? If you flash it, I would say not to go to 150 watt, maybe up to like 125 watt or something. But you wouldn't want to flash it too extreme for sure, because I think the standard is like up to 100 watts, so you don't want to go way beyond that. I don't know exactly why Steam is taking long to load. It's never done this before, and this is the first time I've used an external SSD to try to store my Steam files, and I'm thinking it's probably related to that. Like I've got my Steam files on this external SSD that I've got plugged in. Banjo with the $2 super chat. Thanks so much for the donation. Not sure what your message means. Download HW info so we can see wattage in Cinebench. I did run HW info. If you want to go back and look at that, you can see the wattage and the clock speeds and the TDP and everything while I ran the test. Okay, so Steam for some reason is not interested in running again. Gonna go ahead and restart it. Are you going to review the X15 base model? I'm going to review the X15 3070 model. Kung Fu Fighting. I have one of these on order with the same exact spec. What are my first impressions of the machine? The build quality is solid. I wish there was a little bit less flex in a couple spots. Removing the bottom of the chassis is really easy. I really like that. So upgradability is there with the SSD and the RAM. Um, the lack of a mux switch is kind of a bummer. The display is amazing, really bright, very vibrant. Seems to be pretty responsive. The CPU scores in Cinebench were incredible. Really, really great performance there. Um, TimeSpy score, GPU score was a bit lower than I would ideally love, and that's largely attributable to the lack of a mux switch. So, how does 1080p and 1440p look on the screen? Is it blurry? Um, TimeSpy, I believe, runs in 1440p, I believe, when you do this regular TimeSpy test. Um, and it's very sharp when we're running this test. So, but I need to actually, I've been running pretty much the laptop's been running at full 4K. So, okay, so this is 100% stock settings right now. Can you explain a mux switch, please? So do the exclamation mux command, and it'll be explaining. It'll basically explain the mux situation. You can watch that video. The short of it, though, is that a mux allows you to bypass the integrated GPU to improve CPU-bound game performance. Does it run Hello Kitty Island Adventure? Yes, this will run Hello Kitty Island Adventure, LOL. So, but yeah, so just check out that video, and it kind of explains it in detail. But that said, I'm not that worried about the Mux switch because I believe in actual gameplay, it will be not a big deal. But you will see, you will still see the performance difference, especially in highly CPU-bound games at 1080p resolution. But I'm not going to play this game at 1080p. I'm going to play it at QHD or 4K. When do you think 6600M laptops are going to launch, and will you be able to get your hands on one? I'm waiting to get one. I believe there's a 6600M. Someone was talking about how it launched at Best Buy earlier today, I think. So check Best Buy. Am I going to review the Legion 7 3070 model? Not currently planning on it. Got a lot of other laptops to review at the moment. Gigabyte is having a sale on the i7 3080 for $1870 after rebate. Not sure if that's the low power 3080 model though. Oh man, that's cool. Do you know which model exactly it is? Is it the ORS 15G? That's a great price though. That's the lowest price I've seen for a 3080 laptop so far. Do you think they will release the Ryzen in this X series? I don't know. I don't think so. Thanks, man. Always very good. Sold because of the touchpad. Really, Alan? That's the number one factor, huh? I mean, that touchpad is really, really cool to look at. I am not gonna lie. Such a cool touchpad. Games in 4K, Mux. Yeah, when you play games in 4K, the higher resolution, you're gonna become more GPU bound than CPU bound. Yep. Why less streams, Gizmo? Because I did a poll on the community page, and people were just saying they'd rather see more of my review videos. So I've been putting more of my time towards that. But I'll be having some streams come out. Plus, it's like an energy thing. Streams take a lot of mental energy, and they wear my voice out too. So yeah, an external monitor is also a factor too, because you can bypass the Mux situation. Okay, so we scored 28 points less on the graphics score. So I don't think the BIOS switch for the XMP did anything for us there. At least not for our TimeSpy GPU. Okay. Let us load up Cyberpunk. Dun dun dun. What do I think about the overall performance of the X17? So Vinay, I think I need to do more tests still. The TimeSpy GPU score is the only thing that's a little bit worrisome, but I need to get into and worrisome, I mean not absolute top tier, like crushing it. It's still good performance. It still outperforms my Scar 15. But for a 150 watt RTX 3080, I would definitely expect closer to like the 12,600 mark. And I think you're going to see that level of performance using an external monitor based on the benchmarks I've seen on Reddit. So, like, I think the reason is pretty clear, even though I haven't tested it yet, in terms of why the performance is at where it is at. Am I going to test Valorant? No, we're going to do Cyberpunk, and then we're going to end the stream for today. Is the X17 3070 worth it at $2450? If the premium features, if the extra premium features like Windows Hello, the thin build, and the high TDPs are attractive to you, then it may be worth it. Okay, so I apologize about the lack of labels here because our labels are messed up. But I need to maybe try updating MSI Afterburner. Maybe that'll be fixed. But for now, I'm not going to worry about it. Just know that this is your watts, clock speed, GPU utilization, temperature, memory. Then this is your CPU temperature, CPU utilization, CPU clock speed, and CPU TDP. Okay, so we're going to be on Ray Tracing Ultra. We're going to turn on DLSS to balanced. So we're going to do our QHD test first. DLSS on balanced. This is how I'm expecting to play games on this laptop, but I'll also test at 1080p so it gives us a better idea of the performance. Would a 1500 TimeSpy GPU difference make a big difference in VR? I'm not sure where you're getting. Also, okay, so here is our, man, this is really annoying. That's our GPU. Let me make sure exactly what's highlighted there. Oh, we have 1%. So we want frame rate. There. We want frame rate, average, and 1% low. We had the wrong thing selected. I was going to say these are not how they should be. Okay, so this is our current frame rate, this is our average, and this is our 1% low. Okay. Here we go. So this is QHD, everything set to ultra, RTX on ultra, DLSS set to balanced. I'm running QHD, Jeremy. You need to change the RAM for better performance. I shouldn't because this should be the faster RAM, but I am very curious about testing my my faster RAM from my SCAR 15 in this laptop. So leave it on 4K and use DLSS to downscale. Yeah, I can do that. You can't see the TDP? Yeah, you can. TDP is right here. 155 watts and 35 watts. So we're above the 150 watt cap right now, which is very good. So 56 average, 48. That is really good. I'm curious. I'm curious what we're going to get when we drop it down to 1080. Okay, to be able to do 1080, we also need to go in here. All right, and drop it down to 14, and we're going to go 540. I guess we're going to go down to 12. Okay, there, we can see everything now at least. My camera is blocking the TDP. Oh, my in-game camera. Okay, gotcha. There we go. Okay. Sorry about that. I misunderstood what you were saying. I was like, I can see it right here. What are you talking about? Sorry about that. Okay. But yeah, we were pushing really high on the TDP. Like we were hitting 155 watts on the GPU and 35 watts on the CPU or something. Am I going to repaste? I don't think so, because this comes with their special paste. Let me make sure this is set to full speed. Yeah, it is. All right. Our CPU temperature, interesting. When we went down to 1080p, everything started working better for our, we got all of these things to work properly. Very high CPU temperatures right now. You can see that we're pushing 99 degrees. That said, we're pushing really high wattage in the CPU. Normally, when you're under a heavy GPU load like this and a heavy CPU load, the maximum wattage to the CPU is usually like capped around 50, 45 to 50, but we're pushing very high CPU wattage. See, now we're getting much better temperatures now that the CPU wattage is much lower. Now we're getting 67 FPS. Oh, I didn't change my video settings. I need to change the graphic settings. This needs to be down to quality. It's interesting that these don't let you, because these used to be, you used to be able to turn all of this on at once, but it's different now, I guess, in the latest version of Cyberpunk. Okay, so let's try this again. Balance mode, because this is the way, this should be the same way that I run everything normally. Will Valorant heat up any Alienware laptop? Depends on what settings you set everything to. You will take off the gallium silicone they use if you repaste it. Yeah, there's special CPU paste, basically. You'll take that off. So my guess is right now we're utilizing some kind of like short turbo boost on the CPU that's really boosting the CPU performance. But it's gonna ramp the temperatures up. As soon as this CPU, this temporary CPU TDP goes away, we're gonna see a lower CPU cap, but we'll see, maybe not. Let's just go ahead and try running the test. Maybe it just has to do with what area of the game we're in. But let me pull up what my scar did in the GE76 and stuff like that. Let's see what those laptops did in this test. And of course, this is at 1080p, so not necessarily representative of the kind of performance you're going to get at QHD or 1440p. Okay, so the GE76 Raider did 72 FPS in this test, and my Scar 15 did 65. So 68. So this is a bit less than the GE76, at least for this specific test. As long as everything is being tested properly, like I said, this one setting down here, I believe was on before. I believe both of these were on before, and that may impact performance. I'm not sure how that impacts performance. How is the fan noise? The fans are definitely loud on full speed mode, and I think they're a little bit on the higher pitched side, right? So you're kind of like a little bit more whiny than, say, my Area 51M or my Scar. Interesting. So it looks like performance went down when we turned on that dynamic FX boost thing. Oh, target frame rate. Oh, interesting. So we set the target frame rate to 200. It's still not doing anything. Okay. Yeah, turning on DLSS is important. Okay, so let's load into another area of the game. Okay. They say the CPU won't degrade at 100 degrees Celsius, but I mean desktops, I was told only over 80 will increase thermal degradation, so it's mixed information. I think it basically the older the tech, the more sensitive is to degradation. But so far we have not seen any evidence that it degrades at 100 degrees Celsius. Like we're not seeing any Intel laptops with like that are like just like failing on us or something, you know? Oh, I'm sure we're hitting some thermal throttling, without a doubt. I don't need to check HW info. I can see that we're hitting high temps here. But the thing is, the CPU wattage that we're pulling is really high. So the temperatures are understandable in my opinion, given the really high wattage to the CPU. Like on my SCAR 15, we're not pulling these kinds of wattage numbers, you know. So I think it's a matter of tuning it, and I'm on full speed mode. And if I were to set it down to like balanced mode, I'm sure the wattage it would pull would be a lot less. Like look, as soon as we drop down to 28 watts, look at the temperature instantly down to 76. So what it comes down to is how many watts it's pulling and fine tuning that balance. And notice the FPS is no different now. Like, I don't know why it was pulling such high wattage before, and now we're not pulling the high wattage. So it's very interesting. But look at our temperatures now, 78, 75. Very, very good temps now, when before it was like really, really hot. So I mean, I think it's a optimization thing and something that I imagine Alienware will improve on over time. But definitely some big spikes there. Cyberpunk is not very optimized either, true. And also when you run RTX, it does increase the CPU demand. So we become very CPU and GPU demanding in the gameplay. Yeah, and this laptop, like this is literally the first day I've had the laptop. So I'm expecting firmware and bug fixes over time. You know, you got to expect that there will be some bugs in the brand new laptop. That's just like par for the course for any manufacturer. And I'm saying that as like, you know, someone who like reviews laptops for a living. So, okay, now we've been running the game now for quite a few minutes. Looking at our temperatures, they're excellent. 76, 77. They were not as good earlier, again, because the higher temperature, the higher TDPs. The actual gaming experience right now is very good. It's smooth, it's fluid, I'm aiming well. And the wrist rests are not warm right now. I just want to clarify that. I believe what you're going to run in, well, they're like just a little slightly warm, but I've also had my wrist on them, so my own body temperature is raising the temperature of the wrist rest. But they're like within expected norms, I think. But I'm expecting that if you run this machine on balanced fan profile, I'm expecting that the wrist rests are going to get pretty warm. So I think this is going to be one of those really interesting laptops to review and spend more time with and get a better idea of what the chassis temperature is. During lots of different game situations, because I think it's going to vary a lot. CPU speed, oof. CPU clock is a bit low. Yeah, but the clock speed may not be needed. Does that make sense? I don't know. It's hard to say whether or not it's affecting frame rate or not. So, like it may be doing just fine at the current clock speed that it's at. So, it may be affecting it though. I'm not discounting that possibility though. But we need to play more games, and I feel like they're going to improve the drivers and firmware on this. So, no, it's clearly downclocked because this is 3.2 instead of like say 4.5. But look at our CPU percentage utilization. We're only at 42%, 45% CPU utilization, which may mean that we're maximizing. Like we're maximizing our GPU utilization. We're at 97% GPU utilization already. If the GPU utilization was down to say like 70% or 80%, and our CPU clocks were low, then that would be problematic. But right now we're pretty much GPU bound, not CPU bound. So I'm not worried about this low CPU clock, if that makes sense. So yeah. Anyway, so overall my impressions of the X17 let me just do a conclusion. Overall, my impressions for the X17 are still leaning towards a positive direction. The CPU performance was off the charts. The overall build quality, feel of the laptop were good. The LED lights are very bright, though I wish they had symbols, the secondary symbols lit up. Now, the touchpad and keyboard feel great. The light up RGB on the touchpad is amazing. If you missed that, go back and check that in the live stream. The price on this machine is very expensive, and you're paying a huge price for some of these premium features, which is definitely a big downside for this machine. And definitely makes me go, unless you have a ton of money, it's probably not worth it for the money. Does that make sense? Like if you're after performance per dollar, definitely not. This is a laptop that's geared toward maximizing the maximum possible performance. And I really wish they had included a mux switch on this machine because, or advanced Optimus, even though it's a 4K 120 hertz display, just because the pure performance seekers, like the people that want to get the most performance you can possibly buy, are looking at this laptop and they're looking at it going, well, we don't have a mux switch, so we're not getting the maximum possible performance when you compare it with synthetic tests or with actual benchmarks with the GE76. So I think a lot of people that are after the most possible performance for your money are going to kind of lean away from this laptop for that reason. And I think the X17, like that said, I think the X17's CPU performance will kind of specialize the X17 because the CPU performance is we're getting way higher TDP than you're going to be able to get on the GE76. So in that sense, the X17 kind of sets itself apart. So yeah, does that all make sense? That's kind of my initial take on the X17. Still overall pretty positive. I need to spend a lot more time with it, and I'm hoping that as I spend some more time with it, I'll be able to get a better feel for how it works. And as we test it in more games, we'll also be able to see how the performance lines up with the GE76, because I did do a full suite of benchmarks with the GE76, so we can do a bunch of comparisons and performance cross analysis with that laptop. And then, yeah. So overall, I'm still saying I'm not negative necessarily negating on this X17, but there clearly is some drawbacks with the lack of the mux switch or advanced Optimus on this unit. I'm not sure exactly why Alienware decided to do that. We'll see. I'm also very curious what the performance will look like on games like Shadow of the Tomb Raider, because we do have the XMP memory in here. And yet the memory test that I didn't show that it was particularly fast memory. And I'm curious if the RAM timings on it are still kind of crappy, even though it's DDR4 3466 memory. Like even though the ratings, even though the clock speed on the RAM is very fast, if the timings aren't there, we may not see that particularly great of memory performance on it. So we'll see. Looking forward to do more tests. Again, I'll be doing a whole detailed review of this laptop coming up. We'll see if this becomes my main laptop or not. Maybe. I'm not sold 100% on the initial impressions. So XMP is namesake, LOL. We'll see. We'll see. Waiting for a BIOS update to enable mux. Yeah, we'll see. Maybe if they were like, 'cause I saw a comment in here that's saying that this does have a mux switch, it's just disabled in software. If that is true and they can actually enable us to use the mux included in here, okay, then you're going to see a lot better raw performance and benchmarks and stuff like that. But I doubt that's a thing, because if that was a thing, then I don't know why they wouldn't include it from the beginning, from the get-go, because including a mux on a hardware level does cost money. So why would they disable it on a software level after the fact? It just doesn't make sense to me. But it's a possibility. We'll see. So those are my thoughts on the X17 so far. more testing required to get a definitive answer in terms of whether or not this will be my laptop and whether or not I can highly recommend it or not. Clearly, the CPU performance is there, but whether the GPU performance is there, we'll see. Okay, I'll see you guys in the next live stream. I hope you enjoyed this one. Thanks so much for tuning in. It was a big, long live stream with lots of troubleshooting and testing and all that stuff. So apologize for all the little hiccups here and there. But I'll see you guys next time. Brandon out.